We're visiting today with Elko County Sheriff Aitor Narvaiza. This is our regular update in law enforcement news. And Sheriff, we were just discussing casually before we went on that the Elko County Sheriff's Office, it's business as usual. And you're going to get a ticket if you're speeding or there's other offenses just because we had a cyber attack on Sunday and we don't have computers right now, right, though? But you're doing old school.
Yeah, it's, well, thanks for having us. Anyway, yeah, it's, nothing is really, people and citizens of Elko, law enforcement is fine. We don't have computers, but, I remember when I started, we didn't have computers, so it was a basic Cop 101, and, we run across somebody who has a traffic violation. We could run him at a later day. We can go back if he's wanted, go pick him up. Or for us, it's everyday knowledge. Our guys are still going to calls or responding to calls. Is what's kicking our butts right now is unable to do the reports on Spillman. So it's taking a little bit longer to do reports because the whole system is down. But everything besides that is fine. Just Cop 101, go back to work and do what you got to do.
Yep, just make sure you have a pencil and a piece of paper if you need it.
Yes. That's right.
Yeah. So, and Spillman is that statewide network, for example, so you can, check for warrants.
Yeah, Highway Patrol, I know the city's on it, and we're on it, and so everything, I think there's like 13 agencies on it, so it affects a lot of agencies, and because everything's done statewide, so we share a lot of information between all the different agencies, and just something that these newer deputies and newer police officers have to get used to without no computers for a couple of days, and they'll get it. They're still doing good, though.
Oh, that's great to know. With our Sheriff Aitor Narvaiza, I think I'm the only reporter when I go around and that has an actual notebook, a paper notebook, and a pencil or pen, and they're looking at me like, wow, she's kind of old.
It's called taking notes, right?
That's right. It's called taking notes. So, Sheriff. So these things also affect jail operations, I guess, somewhat. But just kind of checking in, seeing how things are going with the jail. Our Elko County Sheriff's Office, like probably all of them throughout the state, you're in charge of the jail as well.
Spillman right now being down in the NCIC and the whole state server being down, it's the deputies are working extra hard there. Everything has to be done manually. Everything has to be handwritten. The bookings, the releases, all the doctor's notes, all the court appearances have to be done manually have to be handwritten, all the notes and, the medical, everything. So when the system comes back up, they're going to have to do a lot of computer work they have to put all that back into the system, so they're doing very well. It's going to take them probably a couple of weeks to enter all that information in the system, but they're doing good. We did have a little jail incident this morning where an inmate attacked two deputies, punched one in the face, and tried to hit another one, and he was taken down immediately. He was put in chair restraint, and by policy, we have to let him up every couple of hours, let him walk around until he cools his jets down. But the deputies are okay, so this individual now will pick up a couple more felony charges, battery on police officers. So, he just picked up more charges, probably more jail time at a later date once he goes to court and gets charged on the battery on the officer. So. But everything else has been going pretty well in there. Mental health is doing good. We had a meeting. We're still meeting with the contractor for the jail expansion. That's going very, very well. I think we got the numbers where the county wanted them, and we're still working on that. And they're working on the plants. We had to cut some things out because of the cost, but it's going very well. I think the commissioners like the numbers. I know Amanda liked the numbers, so we had to sacrifice a little bit, but we're willing to do that, save the county some money, and we just keep moving forward.
Sheriff Aitor Narvaiza is talking about that jail expansion that's been in the works, and this one's going to focus, this will be the last expansion of that existing footprint at the existing Elko County Jail. It'll be a wing. Is it still going to be for behavioral health, for inmates who have obvious mental health issues?
It's going to be it'll be mostly behavioral health.
Okay.
We'll have inmates that have issues in there, because what's doing this right now is we have inmates with mental issues, and we're losing bed space because we can't house two subjects that have mental issues in the same facility, in the same room. So this will have handicap access. They'll have a room with withdrawals. You can have withdrawals, and you'll move mental health in one big facility instead of having mental health go throughout the whole jail from cell to cell to cell to cell, checking on these individuals. There will be, I believe, we went from 46 beds to 30 beds. So we will house all the mental health people in there, and then the medical staff, instead of walking through the whole facility looking for these individuals, will have them right within feet of them,
Mm-hmm. You've had to adjust. I think the last time we talked about this issue too, you brought in full-time nursing. Is that right? We have medical?
Yeah, we contract with the company out of Reno. And they're phenomenal. We have medical staff, I believe, till 9 o'clock at night. From 7 to 9 o'clock at night, and they take care of all the meds, all the medical issues. The inmates fill out their kites, and they go see medical first thing in the morning. And they can pretty much do everything in the jail facility. And if the nurse feels that it's beyond their capabilities, then we have to transport them to a hospital, but they can do probably 90% of it right there, and they can tell you, this guy needs to go to the hospital, or no, this guy's okay, he's just playing games, and they could, I'm having a heart attack, they can put him on a machine, and they're like, no, this individual's fine. And so they take care of all that, the bigger stuff, and anything that has to be handled outside the facility, they recommend this individual needs to go to the hospital to get certain things done to them, and that's what we do. So it's really, we spend a lot of money on medical, but we've saved tons and tons of money by bringing these individuals in, because we don't have to transport them as much time, and then when you transport, you lose a deputy or two to that facility with an inmate, so really keeps more deputies in-house.
Mm-hmm. And just so people understand, too, the sheriff's talking about people with the behavioral health issues. They may need medication. They may be off their medication. They may be suffering addiction issues. For example, the jail holds only so many, so you're building this new wing, this behavioral health wing, even though NNRH is opening up soon a 16-bed third-floor behavioral health facility, but that won't be for inmates, Sheriff.
No, that's for individuals in the city. Our inmates have to be court-ordered. And we can't have...
They have to be secured.
Yeah, they have to be secured. We can't have somebody has a mental issue, transport them up there and leave them up there, right? So that's mainly a facility for the normal person who might be thinking... suicide or might have some mental issues starting. They can go up there and get some help, which they've been doing a really good job. Ours is different because they're more violent, there's more drugs, there's more addiction.
They've been arrested.
Yeah, and they're more combative, so we can't just take people up there and drop them off and say, hey, thank you, have a nice day. So we have to take care of them at our facility. Now, once we get them on meds, and as long as it's court order, we would have that option, but we're still transporting to Las Vegas at this time.
Yeah, because Lakes Crossing, they don't take anymore.
No, they quit taking our prisoners because Elko was the biggest provider of mental health issues in the rural. You got, in the rural, you're talking Vegas, you're talking Winnemucca, Lovelock, and us, Eureka.
It was disproportionate.
And we have the third biggest facility in Nevada compared to, you got Clark County, Vegas, Reno, and us. So we're the third biggest agency. So we're producing more mentals out of the rural and taking them up there. So to me, it makes no sense, but I'm no doctor, but they wouldn't accept our inmates because I guess the way they were looking at it, we're taking too much from Elko, and they can move more people through the facility. So now, instead of traveling 4 hours to Reno, we're traveling 6-7 hours to Vegas. So we're spending 16 hours transporting inmates to Vegas and picking them up compared to an 8-hour round trip to Reno. But
so hence the new jail facility, in case anyone was wondering. We are going to have this behavioral health wing. Any idea on timeline, and then how much it will cost, Sheriff? We know you did have to train.
The timeline, we're still talking building. Once it's accepted, you're looking at a timeline 5 to 6 months before it starts the groundwork. Mm-hmm. The cost is probably going to be $15 million. It's a lot, but we'll be able to house other inmates from other counties. Mm-hmm. Example, Lander County, us, and Eureka, or possibly Winnemucca, and we'll be able to take care of that. But mainly, it's going to be Elko, and we'll probably have some spots open for other counties. But it's going to be a big cost, but it's really, really needed.
We're talking with our Elko County Sheriff, Aitor Narvaiza, for our usual monthly update in law enforcement news. That probably segues into the next topic. We've been talking about this every month, Sheriff, just to see if there's any changes. We know Governor Lombardo got to visit Elko yesterday. He was on hand for the temple, a tour of the temple, and then also visited Great Basin College, and wondering if maybe he spent some time talking about the undocumented immigrant concerns, or because we know he's been asked to, if not ordered to, get more involved in that situation with possibly the National Guard or even housing some inmates.
Yeah,
some
I
immigrants.
haven't had any conversation with Governor Lombardo. I know he was here, but I was up north on the fire, so I missed him yesterday. But to my knowledge, and from what I read, like everybody else, he's talking about deploying the National Guard for for immigration, but I'm still the same boat that you and I have discussed. If you commit a crime and you're illegal, you're going to go to jail, and if ICE puts a hold on you, you're probably going to get shipped out, but that will be up to ICE. So I will help ICE with whatever they need, but like I said, if you don't want to get deported, don't do the crime, don't do the time. So behave, and you can stay in Elko, but if you do get caught, you will be deported, and I will help ICE in that way.
I think because a lot of what we're seeing, Sheriff, is that these operations that are extensive, they're happening in bigger cities. Unless I am mistaken, I haven't seen this kind of activity come to rural communities. No. I mean, I guess maybe in California they took folks who were working in fields, which...
Yeah, and some of those, you and I look at the news just like everybody else. We don't get it directly, and some of those guys run those marijuana grows illegally. They have hit those places, but nothing out here in Elko in the rural, to my knowledge. Talking to the sheriffs, they haven't had anything, There was a rumor last time you and I talked that they were seen in Jackpot, and I called them, and they said absolutely not. It wasn't them. It's not true. So, and they would inform me if they did those operations.
And that's something we did want to emphasize, and I'm glad you don't mind that we keep checking in, Sheriff, because
that's why we're here, right?
Yeah, thank you. And I know that you go out to places where there may be undocumented immigrants and talk to them about their concerns. You said you've done that one-on-one, and that should help to alleviate people's fears, so their kids go to school.
I've talked to. I have friends that are illegals, and so does everybody in this community, right? They're great people. I would love for them to stay, if possible. It's not my job. That's final job decisions up to ICE. But what ICE is doing, and you see around the nation, they're picking up all these hardcore felons, all these supposedly all the hardcore felons, and why would you want those individuals in your community? If they're running gangs, or they're pedophiles, or they're sex trafficking. those individuals need to go. And, I support what they're doing, getting the bigger people out, but and we'll see what they keep doing. But as of here, we have not had any operations.
Well, thank you again for checking in. If things do change, the sheriff and I have both talked about this. We would have the conversation, because the last thing we want is for people to start panicking or spreading misinformation. We want to make sure people are aware of what the facts are.
Correct.
And it may well be true, because I don't want people listening to think, well, she's not asking about the cases where innocent people or citizens have been swept into these raids, because I think that is true. Obviously, that has happened. It has not happened here,
No.
Sheriff.
And when those individuals, when ICE hits those facilities, or whatever you want to call those facilities, or they hit an apartment complex where they are hardcore illegals, and I'm sure some of them that are getting picked up are just your basic family house member, but if they're there to do a job, and they pick up these individuals, they're going to pick everybody else up as well, And unfortunately, I know I have friends that have been here in this community for 10, 15 years, and they've never chosen to become a USA and a citizen. And now everybody's looking over their shoulders saying, hey, what's going to happen to me if I get picked up?
Mm-hmm. Was that your work phone or your home phone? You've got two phones like most professionals, so
apologize about that. So
that's okay, Sheriff.
It's just what it's a bad deal,
And the other thing too is that most people that are undocumented, the last thing they're going to do now is to try to start a process, because then they believe that would make them a target too.
Right.
So it's a vicious.
It's a bad deal because there's individuals being here, their kids have graduated from school here, been born and raised here in the U.S., and now you have a 16, 17-year-old child and your parents are illegal. They could end up being deported. And now you got a 16-year-old kid without parents because they're being deported to another country, and it's a bad deal. I'm more of let's get the hardcore guys out of here, and then we can work on the other individuals. And hopefully, I know talking to them, the process is long, and they just need to expedite the whole process to become U.S. citizens, instead of months and months and months of paperwork.
Sheriff Aitor Narvaiza is our guest today. We're getting our regular monthly update in local law enforcement. We should mention that our new police chief, Kyle Ward, we're going to try to get these two, their schedules worked out. Chief Ward is on a mine tour today, so he sent his regrets. He did do a program on behalf of the city with Detective Cassie, and they talked about their child safety program. So he feels a bit more caught up. But I didn't know if you had any thoughts or wanted to share any impressions about the new chief so far.
I've talked to him several times. We've haven't actually sat down and had a business meeting. We see each other at coffee or Cops and Burgers, and I've met his family and kids, and talking to the officers at the Elko City. They really like him. He's really approachable, and talking to his staff, and he's doing a very good job. And I've talked to his people, and he's calling them in on a one-on-one individual, having meetings with him, and what's good, what's bad, and the same thing I had to do. And from what I'm hearing, he's solid, and he's a very good guy. And like I said, every time I've seen him, we just laugh, talk, and it's been good for us.
Oh, good. So we'll look forward to more conversation.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's really, the thing is, he's really smart. He's really sharp, and in talking to him, he's just a down-to-earth guy. He's just really calm.
He's a PhD.
Yeah, and
he's an academic. Yeah,
he's a great guy.
Yeah,
he's going to do good.
Well, thanks, Sheriff. Again, just kind of checking up on that. So in case anyone's listening saying, oh, they're not getting along. No, that is not true. It's our schedule.
He's a great guy.
So they'll be together on the program before you know it. You came on too because we wanted to make sure we updated people. Very involved in the fires, in the Cottonwood Peak fire. That was just incredible, very destructive, 136,000 acres. No injuries. Certainly that's the best news of all. And I'm still hearing no buildings burned, Sheriff.
kind of glad this fire's over because I've been leaving town like between 4 and 4:30 in the morning and getting home late due to the fires. But there's 136,000 acres, and it's a lot. It's a lot of acreage. A lot of those ranchers, you had Jackson at the Patan Ranch and the Morais and the Spanish Ranch and Aitor Wines, and they lost a lot of acreage. And unfortunately,
And that's grazing.
yeah,
Yes.
they lost a lot of grazing. And what happens when you lose all that grazing rights? You can't put stock on that for 3 years. So for the next 3 years, they have to move their stock elsewhere, or they're going to have to buy some probably more hay. And
Is this the time of year, Sheriff, too? I mean, did they have cattle on the range, or were they?
yeah,
Okay.
while we were up there,
Yeah.
it looked like the old West. They had cowboys on horseback pushing cows over the mountains on the flats. You see them out there. You see the horse trailers and 15, 20 guys on horseback moving cows. And to be honest with you, they were moving cows that probably didn't even belong to them. They were just getting them out of the way.
Sure, of course.
I know that one day Morais moved one cow from one side of the road, and then the fire jumped the fire, and then they had to move them back to the other side of the road. So,
But they were saving the cow.
yeah, they were moving the cows
absolutely.
around and saving them. And I talked to Sam yesterday, and as of yesterday, they were riding the ranges and looking for possibly dead cows, and they have not found any yet as of yesterday. But they still have a lot of territory to cover and see when those cows ended up, if they're see if they had any loss or not. But I have to tell you, I watched the ranchers and the BLM and the Forest Service work hand in hand. The first couple of days, got a little excited because of the winds and stuff, but the ranchers sat down. We would have our meeting, and the rancher said, "Well, you need to do this, 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 and this." And believe it or not, they actually listened and probably helped out their fires, and because those ranchers know all those back roads, how to get equipment back there, and they actually had those meetings and worked very well for the ranching community. Miss Rhodes was there as well too, and Shammy and all those guys from Tuscarora and all those other ranchers. They would have these meetings with the fire personnel, and they actually listened, and I was very impressed with it. And I believe the ranchers were too, and they probably saved more country than burned.
Yeah, than they could have otherwise. I'm so happy to hear that, Sheriff. I'm sure listeners are too, because you're right. In the first days of a fire, it's very tense, it's scary, and if the people who live closest to the land feel like they're not being heard, because sometimes this has to do with fire crews, they're coming from literally sometimes another country, from Mexico or Canada, and they don't know the lay of the land, literally. Right. But the ranchers know it. It's the back of the hand.
I sat there with the BLM or the Forest Service liaison, and I kept telling them, hey, you got to listen to the ranchers. They know this territory. They've been here for generations. They know where the water is. They know what's going to get burned, or what speed is. And they actually sat there and listened, and it was very impressive. And I think the ranchers were very, very helpful, and
good.
And they actually listened. That's the weird thing. But it worked out very well, because I've been in meetings where they wouldn't let ranchers on there, and this was nice.
Good. Let's hope that just simply sets the stage for all the fires in the future to come. And now the reclamation. So the hard work begins. And as you said, accounting for any livestock that's missing, certainly all the wildlife that's lost. That's really sad. And Sheriff, this is hunting season, and that's some prime hunting area too.
Yeah, Area 6, you got Jack Creek and, you got Cornucopia back there, and then Midas, Toe Jam, that whole area back there. And, it burned all the way from Chicken Creek Summit all the way to Bull Run on both sides of the highway, and then it burned down towards Midas, Cornucopia, Toe Jam, Deer Creek. It burned all that, and but it's still hunt season. There's still people out there hunting, so it was nice seeing them, and I'd stopped a couple of the guys and just hey, just have your stuff ready in case it does blow out and you just need to get going. And so it was hunt season, but it was done safely as well, too.
That's good. So at last report, we were still closed at Wilson's, Wild Horse. I think there's a crossing there. And so have these campgrounds opened up yet? Do you know, Sheriff?
Yeah,
Okay.
they've been open for some time. They,
Good.
when I was at the meeting Wednesday, they were 1,200 capacity when I left there a couple of days prior. And Wednesday's meeting, they were down to 800. And they're hoping to be down to 250, 300. They're just putting out some hot spots, and they're thinking they were going to be out here by this weekend, by Sunday. So, and right now, from listening, those guys are going to head out to that Yellowstone fire. So it's been burning for some time. So mainly all these, they did keep some airplanes and helicopters in the area just in case, just for backup. But everything's going pretty well.
All right. And just for listeners' benefit, if you're headed out for Labor Day weekend, it is fire season now, pretty much year-round, but it's definitely fire season still until some serious snow hits the ground.
All right. Luckily, they had some good rains the other day up north of Elko, and a lot of the rain extinguished most of it. But I was out there one day, and it was raining in Elko and not there. They just got a couple of drops just to keep the dust down, and that was it. And so it didn't really come down as much as it should. But they had a lot of equipment up there. Dozers, airplanes, helicopters, you name it. They had it all up there.
Talking with our sheriff as we're getting ready to close out today's show for this month, for this time around. But as we just talked about, it's hunting season every year. Sadly, it seems that you get sent out on searches. Sometimes there are accidents. Sheriff, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about what concerns you might have this time of year.
We did have to go out and find an individual this week. They were hunting in the Midas area. One became separated, and he was in a vehicle, and just as we were getting ready to head out, he was located by another hunter. So they called in, and we didn't have to go, but he was actually broke down in his pickup. So just make sure you pack enough food, blankets, make sure you got water, and stay with the vehicle. Don't go out cross country. If you're going to leave, stay on the main road, or the safest thing to do is just stay in the vehicle, and we'll come find you.
Yep, that'll give you shelter, certainly. And if you've packed those supplies, you might be uncomfortable. But and remember, too, that cell phones do not work in a lot of these remote areas.
No, that's true. They don't at all. It's, it's hit and miss. Depends where you're going,
Well, Sheriff, is there anything else before we say goodbye for today that you want to make sure that we get to that we didn't talk about?
I'd just like to, we had the young juvenile the other day was hit crossing the highway on 227, State Route 227 in Spring Creek. He tried to beat traffic across, and he actually hit a vehicle with the motorcycle. That individual okay. So drivers look for these vehicles and look for these motorcycles. And it's not their fault, but what the juvenile did is reckless and endangered everybody involved. So stay visual, keep an eye out for these people on these motorcycles side by side trying to cross traffic.
All right. We do know things are getting a little tense, or have been at times, at Spring Creek at the roundabout construction, right, Sheriff?
Well, I was out there today, and that roundabout was open today, the new one. And it worked pretty good. They're pouring some concrete there by the Spring Creek High School. And they had that one lane, but the second roundabout seemed to be working pretty well today. So it was pretty good. But there's still a lot of construction. And so, just beware of the vehicle in front of you. If you have to make a quick stop, just don't be tailgating and don't get too close.
Yes, put your phone and your food down, too.
That's right.
Yes. And then I guess you got enough money. Budget's okay?
Yeah, we're good. We're budgeted for the year. We're doing really well. Our commissioners are great people, and, they support us, and we have to support everybody, and so we're doing very well.
All right, Sheriff. Thanks for the update. We covered a lot of ground as we usually do. Our Elko County Sheriff Aitor Narvaiza. Until we meet again, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, listeners, for joining us for Elko Live today.